We welcome the Honorable Minister. And his team. This is the speech. Opening remarks on the budget defense session that is being held on Tuesday, the 17th of February, 2026. The Vice Chairman, members of this committee, Honorable Minister of Power, Permanent Secretary, Directors, and Management Staff of the Ministry of Power, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to welcome you all to the 2026 Budget Defense Exercise by the Senate Committee on Power. This defense is aimed at availing the Ministry of Power the opportunity to defend its proposed 2026 budget estimates before the committee. This budget defense exercise is conveyed pursuant to the relevant sections of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, and the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2007, which empowers the National Assembly the powers to appropriate the usage of funds from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation by ministries, departments, and agencies of government. This funding to finance their annual budget and other specific needs. As is globally known, budgeting is a vital tool that aids for prudent running of government activities. Organizations and agencies of government draft and outline their yearly plans and allocate resources to finance such proposals. This budget defense enables us to assure the judicious utilization of public funds, promotes transparency and accountability in all sectors of our economy. It's against this background that every agency of government is mandated to submit their annual budget expenditure estimates and revenue projections to the National Assembly through the executive branch for approval. The need to ensure a thorough budget review of the National Assembly at this moment of scarce resources is very sacrosanct to this committee. Consequently, the ministry is required to provide comprehensive details of the performance of the 2025 budget, which will enable us, after its smooth consideration and approval, will lead to the approval of the 2026 budget. As we are all aware, the power sector plays a pivotal role in the continuous prosperity and development of any economy. In fact, for Nigeria, we can say that it is the most critical and important ministry in the government. In this period of rapid global change and economic diversification, we cannot but have a Ministry of Power that is up to its doings, and then we also need to affirm that this committee will continuously engage the ministry to ensure tangible implementation of its approved budget, as well as identify the ministry's challenges, which may require legislative support. This, of course, is done through the legislative oversight functions and amendment of existing legislation where applicable. Again, I welcome you, Minister, and all your staff to this important exercise. And I welcome all my colleagues, and I'm sure more colleagues are going to come now that we have closed plenary to get back to the business. So we thank you and we welcome you. So
the Deputy Chairman, distinguished members of the Senate Committee on Power, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Power, all the directors from the Ministry of Power here seated, and every other senior government officials here present. I say good afternoon to you all. Mr. Chairman, I will just make a brief presentation of the activities of the Federal Ministry of Power in the last 1 year with regards to implementation of the government-approved and then Senate-approved appropriation. Then proceed to make a presentation of the 2026 budget. To start with,
Honorable Minister, we just want 2025 to clear it.
okay.
Members may have questions about 2025.
Okay, sir.
When we clear it, then we go to 2026.
Okay. Let me first focus on the 2025 budget and the implementation status. As you all know that every government appropriation has 3 parts in its structure. There is the salaries and wages, and there is the operational overheads, and there is the capital expenditure. I'm happy to let you know that with regard to salaries and wages, or personnel allowances, which falls under the recurrent expenditure, was met 100% by the federal government. At least we have not had case of non-payment of salary or wages or pension.
Where's the document?
Yes.
Recurrent.
Recurrent, it's not recurrent. It should be there.
26. But then it goes under the office of the accountant.
26.
Page what?
26.
26, yes. Yes. It's on page 26, sir. On the report we submitted, yes. Personnel cost about 1.4 billion, that's 1.399 billion. Page 26.
26. So that is not what the table of contents.
Oh, sorry about that.
Apologies. When you look at item number 4.
Detailed 2025, item 4. Detailed 2025 recurrent. Item number 4 under the table of contents. Yes, page 26. Can you see it, sir?
26.
Line item, yes.
We suggest that next time that you should put it in the proper format. Somebody will know the line item is not enough. You cannot do the implementation and appropriation. This is from capital. So you ought to have done exactly the same thing.
Because of the level of achievement of recurrent, which is close to 100%, that's why we didn't bother to break it down the way we did for capital expenditure lines. So like, I'm coming to that. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The level of, okay. Okay, we'll correct that in next presentation. Again, we also have the overhead envelope. Outside the personnel that is 100% achieved, we have the operational overheads, which was 576. I think it's an attached.
It's an attachment.
It's an attachment. We broke it down. Yes.
This is the amount. No, just
The amount is there.
This is the amount, but
Yes.
for the recurrent. For the recurrent. But what was released was 480.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
No, this one I say based on the approved appropriation. Where did we get this figure?
The 576.
JB.
5726. What we did was this 480. When you add 2 months, 48
Yes.
into 2, it will give you this 576.
Okay.
So if we have 1 year appropriation, 1 year allocation, this is what we are supposed to have gotten.
Instead of 825.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, sir. So the operation overheads, that's other recurrent costs outside personnel costs. The appropriation was 825,785,443 naira, out of which, as of December 2025, 480,169,040 naira was released, which is 10 months appropriation released to us. So with 2 months outstanding, that's November and December. So if we add November and December, which we expect to receive in February, we're going to have 576,202,848 naira released as operational overheads out of a total of 825 million in the recurrent expenditure budget in the appropriation, and that will give us 576 divided by 825. That's about 70%.
Sorry, Minister. Unfortunately, we cannot follow you
Okay.
because the papers are not here.
Oh no, we
They are not
we
here.
forwarded the papers to you. Yes, there's an attachment. There's an attachment.
It's too flimsy.
Distinguished Deputy Chairman, if you look at the page 26 on the report with you, other recurrent cost is 825,785,443 naira. That is the appropriation. But if you look at the attachments, a total of 576. Page 26.
Do you have the attachment?
Yes.
No attachment.
It's based on the
but that one is
calculation
for
that we did.
2026.
No, that's the last minute, but today.
That's not.
This one is for 2026. I don't have the one he's talking about.
The
Okay,
attachment
can
is
we
mainly for your
leave that? We just accept
understanding.
it.
It's not meant for
Okay, which is on page, starting from page 28. Page 28, you see the status of implementation in there. I will not want to say much here because this has been extensively explained by Mr. President at the budget presentation to the plenary in terms of the fiscal mismatch that we have when it comes to 2026 budget capital expenditure implementation. So you will see that majority, in fact, the entire of our capital budget for 2025 not
Any
achieved.
comments?
So we look at it, even the one that we have on first page, 10.8 billion naira, was just a warrant, not yet released. So we can say that it's a zero release for the past ministry in 2025. But that does not mean that we didn't have activities under the Federal Ministry of Power with some donor-funded projects and some of our agencies with internally generated revenues, and also working with the DISCOs, working with the transmission company, and working with the generation companies. But in terms of the laudable plans that we included in our capital expenditure plan for 2025, none has been achieved, which we believe will be corrected this year, as you have been promised that 30% of this budget will be released between now and March, while the remaining 70% is rolled over into 2026 budget. It's unfortunate, but I think that's the reality of the situation that we all have to work with. Thank you very much.
Any question?
Sir, 2026 appropriation is actually detailed from page 50 of the report that we have generated, and I would also like to state that, like I mentioned, there is nothing new in this 2026 budget. It's just an automatic rollover of 70% of 2025 budget, which was extensively discussed and defended last year. If you remember, it generated a lot of media hype regarding the content of all this, which we defended. And I must also be quick to tell you which area of the sector this is to be focused upon. And yes, if you look at page 50, item number 3, I'll just pick the major items. This is actually counterparty funding for earmarked transmission lines and substations projects under our donor agencies. There are about 3 or 4 of them. There's the Zungeru transmission line project, which will improve the evacuation capacity of Zungeru hydro power electric plants. And there's the AFDB project too. We also have the JICA project for the Lagos-Ogun corridor, which is stated it was 36 billion that we budgeted here last year, but we expect that 10.8 billion out of it will be released in this quarter, which is 30%. So we have brought forward 70% of that amount. This is our own counterparty contribution to what these donor agencies are giving us as loans to fund all these transmission projects, both substations and power lines. That's on page 50. If we, yes.
The 2020 essentially 70%
That
of
is
the
it.
2025
Capital
budget.
expenditure budget.
And it was stated that 30%, the 30% of the 2026 budget will be sent to you.
2025.
Of the 2025,
budget,
30% will be sent to you so
Between
that you can use. We'll just say that 2025 is 30%
implemented.
of that 2025. Has the funding been sent to you?
Not yet, sir. We're expecting.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We still have up till March.
Well, you have up to the end of
January
March.
to March. That's what they promised.
We're on the
first quarter.
17th day now of April.
Yes.
1.5 months. It's long.
Any comment?
Yeah, I just want to.
Yes, sir.
There a consideration for, I don't want to call it inflation because
I will be able to call it deflation because yes, we are stronger now. In terms of comparison of naira with dollar,
Yes.
I'm sure today dollar is sub
1,355, yes.
So I expect that you need less money, naira, to prosecute your project. But the important question I want to ask is, if you don't give consideration to this issue of inflation or deflation, is an easy way to project failure, project execution failure. And project abandonment has been a common thing in your ministry. Project abandonment, unfinished project, and things like that. So are you giving consideration to this vagaries in the market as far as value of naira and dollars are concerned?
Very distinguished colleagues, Honorable Minister and members of his team. What I'm going to say is a bit related to what leader has just spoken about. Okay, if you look at your 2026 budget capital, okay, virtually everything here is ongoing. You have many ongoing projects. And I think what you need to do is to select some of these projects, concentrate on them, complete them, so that they can add value to your business. Because if you have all these ongoing projects, and in fact, when an ongoing project lasts beyond 2-3 years, it becomes an abandoned project.
Yes.
Are you understand? It becomes an abandoned project. So what I'm saying is that why don't you concentrate on few of these projects, ensure that the money that you are spending on all these are concentrated on few projects, complete those projects, and that means you have to prioritize your projects. Okay, you really have to prioritize.
Thank you, sir.
Because there's no certainty that funds are going to be available for you to do all these projects. And like I said, when a project goes beyond, is ongoing for 2-3 years, at the end of the day, you may even forget them because an abandoned project, and whatever money has been spent there, it becomes sunk money.
Yes.
You can never recover it.
I agree.
That's
with
my
you,
advice.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, Honorable Minister and invited guests, Senator Benson Sondagadaga is my name from Bayelsa East Senatorial District.
Good to meet you, sir.
I want to thank you for your presentation. But I just want to ask one or two questions. In the event of failure or the government to remit money to your office for these 30% provisions in 2025 budget, what is likely to be the solution to the problem? That's one question. Then secondly, does the budget you're presenting now give us any hope or guarantee that grid collapse, which has become a very laughable thing in Nigeria, portraying us in very bad shape, will be taken care of? Thank you.
Very much, Senator Benson Friday. A part of the question I wanted to ask, but I would just want to put it to record that the 2025 budget, capital element of the budget, was totally not funded. Therefore, it means that all the projects that were earmarked to satisfy the needs of Nigerians in various communities and regions were abandoned for 1 full year and still counting. Because the 30% that was promised is still not yet funded, and it is counting to maybe the end of March. And that is to say, you are in total power outing to the service of communities. Do you agree to that? That is, you are not responding to any needs, power needs of the community services in the whole country for 1 full year and 3 months, so to count. Is that correct?
It's not correct, sir.
They tell us how it is. It is not correct.
We'll explain what capital expenditure
All right.
is. Thank you very much for the questions, distinguished members of the Committee on Power, the Senate. The first question, with regards to giving consideration to inflation so as to validate the adequacy of the 70% of last year to fund the project of this year. We actually did give consideration to inflation. If you look at the rate of inflation in Nigeria today, I think it has trimmed down to 15.1%. And if you look at the gains we have recorded in exchange rate too, which also has effect on pricing, is about 10 to 15% too. Remember, 1,500 to 1,355. So we believe this will have compensating effects. You understand? If 15% increase in inflation is bringing price up, we expect the 15% appreciation in our currency to also bring it down. So that will have compensating effect. That's actually more like a general explanation for that. But beyond that, we believe that power projects are what I can call, if I'm allowed to, a la carte projects. It is what your funding can afford that you're going to procure. So, which means that we're going to revisit the procurement process for this year without relying on what we advertised last year. So, we would revalidate the bill of quantities for all these projects that we advertised last year. If they're still intact, we'll leave it. If the amount cannot afford it again, we'll trim it down and we'll obtain what our funding can afford for us. But we're only responding to that because of the question you have asked. We are saying that last year nothing was released. And we are saying, okay, 70% of it, let's move it to this year. Let's even have the money first. Mr. Chairman, when we have the money first, we will decide on how to adjust for inflation, for it not to become. You're welcome, distinguished member and former minister, sir, and former governor, sir. We recognize you, sir. He's my leader. You are my leader, sir. You are my leader too, sir. So once we start getting the money, we are going to adjust for that, in order not to lead to case of abandon the project. Then the issue about preponderance of our project listed here to be ongoing projects. Yes, that is the nature of power projects. A lot of them actually cross over the calendar year because it's a lot of complex connections of electrical equipment, cables, and all sorts. So most of these projects are not being completed within the calendar year, so they flow into the following year. But the most unfortunate thing is that when you have ongoing projects like this, especially for power projects, even if it's at 99% completion level, you are not getting value for it. All the money you have spent on it, you are not recovering any value, which is why, like I say, it's unfortunate that we didn't get money during 2025 for us to complete some of these projects. So which is why we are rolling them over into 2026. I will try as much as possible to ensure that the little that we're getting, we are going to concentrate on a fewer projects to enable us complete this project and not spend on each of the projects and they are not completed again this year. So we'll follow your advice so that the nation can actually get value for whatever we are appropriating to the ministry. And you also asked me that if 30% promised to be released between January and March is not released by March, what is the implication? I mean, for the whole year, we didn't get money now. So if the 30% is not released, there's nothing we can do. Yes. My plea will only be that we should not even complete this process till after that March 2026, so that we can move the 30% into 2026 and just know that it's the entire 100% that we have moved to 2026. But we have 2026 here at 70%, believing that we are going to get the 30% for 2025. So not getting the 30%, it's even worse, given your comment on inflation consideration. Because all those projects is only 70% of the cost that we moved into 2026. So believing that we are going to incur the 30% between now and March. If you don't get the 30%, then it's a problem. So if we can be allowed, or the National Assembly can also allow us to move that 30% into 2026, it will be acceptable. The question about this budget implementation leading to leading to prevention of grid disturbance. Let me also explain that in 2025, for record purpose, we only had a single incident of grid collapse on September 12, 2025. What we had on December 29, 2025 was not a grid collapse. It was just a minor disturbance because of the vandalization and explosion of gas pipeline around the Niger Delta area, which reduced or cut supply of gas to some of the power plants in that area. So supply was far lower than consumption. It affected the frequency of the transmission grid. So we had some outage, but within 2-3 hours, it was up. In 2024, we had 5 good cases of full grid collapse and another 5 cases of partial collapse. That was when we even operated the budget almost fully. In 2025, that were not even released, the funds were not even released, we achieved fewer cases of grid collapse, just 1 or 2. So grid collapse or grid disturbance does not really have much to do with Federal Ministry of Power budget. What we are doing is to improve the infrastructure and reliability of supply of electricity to homes, institutions, and industries. TCN, that's the Transmission Company of Nigeria, and the NISO, Nigeria Independent System Operators, are those that are more responsible for management and maintenance of the grid. And they have internally generated revenue, which they use for their operations and maintenance. So the Federal Ministry of Power budget does not have direct relationship with grid performance. So it's TCN and NISO, and they have their IGRs, which they use to maintain the grid. So whatever we have, even this year we've had 2 cases of grid disturbance, but not collapse. And I also want to correct the impression that anytime we have a grid disturbance or collapse, they will say the nation is in blackout. The nation is never in blackout at once. For once. Number one, the grid supply is not the only source of supply of electricity to Nigerians. The government has invested so much, from policy pronouncement to policy implementation and execution and monitoring and tracking on renewable energy. A lot of our institutions today, universities, health institutions, teaching hospitals, communities, they are on renewable energy, which is powered by solar, off-grid. And very soon, we'll be able to even give you the exact amount of megawatts supplied from renewable energy, both solar, wind, and a lot of our commercial institutions are also on captive power, which is off-grid. So I can tell you that by the time we add the amount of electricity generated through captive operations by Nigerian companies and institutions, and the interconnected grid in communities, and the isolated or off-grid plants in Nigeria, it will even be more than what we generate on the grid. So each time the grid is down, the nation is not in total blackout. We still have, we don't pray for it to go down, but it is wrong to say it's in no blackout. I must say that. So,
sorry, just want to take you up on
okay,
that, so that we.
I thought let me just finish the other question.
No, just particularly on this. So
okay,
that, because it's an important. You are losing confidence in nationwide grid.
No.
Because from you are saying that whatever happened, localize the grid.
That's how it's done all over the world, sir.
Eh?
That's how it is all over the world. There will be alternative sources of power supply for so many reasons. Number one is the cost reasons. Some people have grid connection, they will still have backup solar. Once there is an intermittent trippings of power, the solar is there for you not to even notice at all, because there are some companies that cannot even afford a 2-second trippings in power. It will disturb their production line. So they use solar as a backup for reliability. And number 3 is actually the environment and the climate protection reasons. So instead of flaring gas or burning generator and all that, it's more friendly for us to have renewable energy. So the fact that we are expanding our base of renewable energy does not mean that we have lost confidence in the national grid. No, there's even an energy transition plan that says that by year 2060, we should be achieving 100% carbon neutrality. That's zero carbon emission, which means the majority of our generation will be on renewable energy, which is hydro, solar, wind, and all sorts, with very little reliance on gas-powered plants. So it's a national transition plan for that. So it doesn't mean we are losing confidence in the national grid. It's just a transition plan to renewable energy. The last question, sir. The one on, can you remind me, sir?
Let me put it in a better going by 70%.
I remember, sir.
2026.
Yes.
And the 30% is also not yet serviced.
Yes.
That is to say
That we have not responded to.
that you have not responded to the
the energy
needs
needs
and
of
yearnings of Nigerians.
Thank you.
For the period so far, that is
Yes.
2026 to this moment. And I want to say that
and I
that
said
is
it's
a
not
disservice to you and your office.
No, no, sir.
Going by the records,
Yes.
going by what Nigerians want from 2025 to 2026 now, that you have not impacted
No, it's
on
not, I said
this budget.
it's not valid, sir. Let me say something, sir.
That means you as a minister,
Yes.
within this period of your being minister, you are aware that 2024 budget, part of it was also rolled over to 2025.
Yes.
And that is to say you have not impacted on the lives of local people. If I want to call some areas that are in the budget now, all of these community services that you were supposed to do is completely neglected and abandoned.
Thank you,
Even
sir.
though there are promises that you will take 30%, which is still not yet envisioned.
Release, yes.
Tell
Thank you,
us
sir.
what you intend to do.
Thank you, sir. With due respect, sir, it is not completely valid that we have not responded to the energy needs of these communities. The way the power sector works, the Federal Ministry of Power provides general oversight to the sector, and we formulate policies and track the implementers of these policies to ensure it is done. We are just like an umpire after releasing the policy. 90% of the activities of the power sector which we oversight is done outside the Federal Ministry of Power. We know the segments in the power sector value chain, which start from generation to transmission to distribution. There are agents that take care of each of these segments. The generating companies, they did not stop generating because capital budget was not released to Federal Ministry of Power. It does not concern them. And we oversight their activities. They generate, in fact, they recorded the highest amount of generation in 2025. The transmission communities, TCN and NISO, they performed excellently well in ensuring transmission did not stop. So, non-release of budget to us does not stop those activities. Then thirdly, the distribution company, the DISCOs, they are private companies. The 11 of them worked excellently well within their own space of operations, and they were attending to energy needs of Nigerians. Our work is complementary. We believe that whatever we do, there are some territories that are not fully covered by the DISCOs, and we believe we can do something as government, which is gratuitous, to ensure we lift the state of the infrastructure in these communities. They are just proposed interventions by government. Oh, we wanted to supply transformers to some rural communities. It's not as if a lot of them may have, but maybe they are old, and the DISCOs are not attending to them the way we want, and we put it up as an appropriation. We want to attend to some off-grid solutions in some villages to complement what REA is doing. That's the Rural Electrification Agency, which is in charge of rural electrification too. All we are doing is just to support what the real actors of each of the segments are performing. So this is not the only thing that goes to communities. So the fact that we were not given this fund did not deprive those communities of enjoyment of electricity supply. Maybe not to the level that we wanted it, but it did not deprive them. We would have loved to get this budget released, sincerely. Because I also want to record that, oh, during my tenure as the minister, oh, this is what I did for this community, this is what I did for that community. We did that in 2024. We did some in 2025 too, but relating to 2024 budgets. It's only 2025 where I believe there is an unfortunate fiscal mismatch, which is why funds were not released, and government is fully aware of this, and they are correcting it. I was having some discussion with the chairman even before we started this on the reason for why this happened, and I believe we will learn from experience of 2025, and 2026 will not remain like that. And lastly is that we will still mount pressure to ensure that the 30% promised to be released before March, that we get it and we'll be able to implement part of 2025 budget, even if it's coming in 2026. So it's unfortunate, but there's nothing anybody can do to it. You can see that it's not specific or peculiar to Ministry of Power alone. You must have sat in other committees where other ministries were interrogated. It's the same explanation, but I believe we should not overflog this. But Mr. President himself admitted during the general budget presentation to the plenary that it was a fiscal error and is going to be corrected. That is why I said we have not deprived our people of service. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Minister. Thank you. This session until the corrections that we seek will be brought to us, and then if there's anything that we need clarification from the ministry in the course of our approving this budget, please be on standby for our summons. Thank you very much. We do not blame you. No money came in 2025. Yes. The whole nation is aware of it.
Yes.
So we are basically talking of what happened in 2024 and then what we think should happen in 20. But let me also use this to say to government, they promise that their 30% of 2025 will be brought before the 30th
of March.
31st day of March. March is 30th or 31st? Yes, by the end of March. So let's hope. It's just in 2 weeks' time. We hope that they will. If they release the funding, we still expect that the ministry will go ahead and implement that 30% while waiting for the 70% of the 2026 budget. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman.